Hey folks, Kevin Inoue here from Fight Designer LLC and YouTube and Theatrical Firearms Handbook channels. There's been a lot of interest lately in some of these cheap shell ejecting, non-gas, non-electric, spring-powered toys that have been coming out of Asia lately. And I thought, sure, I'll go ahead and do a review of some of these because, you know, that's a fairly low investment and I'm curious, you know. Now, shell ejection is a nice feature to have if you're going to be using these for especially things like independent film, where, you know, you don't have to spring for high-end CG or for, you know, proper blank firing modified real firearms or anything like that. And even on a big budget thing, you know, there are certainly times when you don't want to deal with blanks, and you still might want some of that blowback and shell ejection feature. That said, you're probably not going to be using like a $15 toy for that. So I just got some of these from Temu. And yeah, I know, it's exactly what you expect. They are cheap, they are plastic. This was supposed to be sort of a like flat, dark earth. I don't know if it comes across on camera, but this is kind of mauve, purple. I don't know. Like the color's a little funky here, but you know, it is what it is, and it does have some trademarks. I'm sure they didn't actually pay for them or license them because that's what we're dealing with here. But yeah, going to New Hampshire, USA, 6-hour P320. You know, I've got a gas blowback version of these, but nothing shell ejection, so I was kind of curious. So first impressions, you know, this is a version that uses little plastic shell casings with little plastic, you know, bullet type dart things that can shoot, and it has a spring powered blowback function. Now you can lock this slide back when it's out of ammo. As you can see pretty clearly, it's a orange outer barrel and inner barrel. If you look in the chamber, it's continued through there. So if we're going to use this for props use, then yes, obviously we're going to have to paint that, and frankly I'd probably want to paint the slide too. Now these use the compression of, you know, you're compressing a spring when you first pull the trigger a little bit, and that compression is what cycles it there when it finally triggers, which is a pretty clever, cool mechanism. But these are, you know, lightweight plastic. You can see the flash lines if you look up close. The chamber doesn't look great when it opens, but, you know, I've seen worse. You know, this is low-end airsoft spring gun kind of construction. But the function is higher than that, which is kind of cool. And interestingly, it does actually have a functional safety. That safety actually does prevent that from cycling, which is kind of cool. So just so you know, often these you don't actually want to rack the slide. Sometimes that breaks these. This came with 0 instructions, so I don't know if that's one of them or not, but we'll find out. So if you load a few rounds of the magazine, I've got, what, 4 rounds in here loaded up and ready to go. Let's give it a shot, see what it looks like. Bit of a awkward fit in there. It kind of sticks. Yeah, this has a little ledge there, which can make smooth magazine insertion a little trickier if you're not careful, because it'll want to hang up there and not push in. So you might have to adjust your technique if you're looking for a good old John Wick style slick reload. And again, the slide release, the slide racking is not usually a function that you see with these. So this might be something where, you know, you swap this out, you paint it to match an airsoft or something, so you've got various functions you can use in different shots. But for this, what it's designed to do is be able to eject casings. Let's see how it goes. And actually, let's try a couple of things. So I've got 4 in there now with the little plastic bullet. I'll put another 2 on top that don't have the plastic bullet. Actually, let's do a plastic bullet first, then 2 without, and then more with plastic bullets. Now, obviously on set, we're freezing this for props use, you would not want to use the little plastic bullets. So that's part of why I want to make sure we have those. But I want you also to know level of function. I'll get all sorts of people watching these reviews. So I have not racked the slide. I've put the magazine in, but I've done nothing to chamber around. So let's see if that little plastic bullet comes out. It does. Now, it did not eject a casing on the first round, but it did shoot the little plastic bullet. So you need to keep that in mind in terms of if you're setting up your shot, if you want to film this for props use, we'll not eject a casing on the first shot, but we'll shoot something out if you're not careful. Now let's try ejecting some rounds, and let's see if I can do this without losing the little plastic bits. Oh, first one, we have a failure to eject. And jammed up in there. It just didn't go back quite far enough. Let's try again. Yeah, another one, failure to eject. Oh, it just dropped out 2 in a row there. Oh. So we also had a little issue there with our magazine where it kind of jammed up. One of them, the bullet thing fell out the end and jammed the round from pushing up. So I think some of these feed issues might have been the result of the fault of the magazine and not the prop itself, which is interesting. All right, I'm going to take the bullet out there. So we'll have 2 now. We'll have one with a bullet, one without, and then one with again. Prop is empty now. Let's try again. Bullet came out, but no shell casing. Shell casing, hey, that one ejected. Shell casing and bullet. And shell casing. So, how reliable is this? 50-50? Let's try again some more just without the bullets. Again, I use these for props primarily, so I'm not too worried about, or I'm interested in using them props. I'm not too worried about whether or not the shell casing ejects. It did do slide lock on the last round, which is interesting. Release the slide there. Let's try that again. Oop, ejected fine, and ejected fine. Not a whole lot of force, but it did eject, so, you know, give it credit for that, and slide lock. So, you know, the SIG P320, this is not one that we have shell ejecting models of otherwise that I'm aware of in terms of model guns or blank guns yet. So if what you really want is a shell ejection function, it gives you that, potentially. Now, this is going to take a lot of painting and other modding to make it look good on camera. You've got these little holes with screws you can see. Obviously, the real one does not have all of these little holes with screws in it holding it together because it's you know, it's steel, it's not plastic. Not done in halves like that. The casings obviously are not right. These have got little like, you know, plastic bits where the primer would be. They're cheap plastic, not actually metallic. There's a spring in the end. The magazine has that sort of airsoft style slit where you can see the spring, and you know, it doesn't quite look like proper rounds, but you know, it does give you a little blowback feature. It does eject a casing, so it does what it says. You know, I'd say you get what you pay for. For what you pay for, it's not bad. I mean, honestly, I'd charge that much just to ship that from China or whatever, probably more. So they're probably losing money on these on the assumption that they're going to build up a customer base, and they're going to out of business, and then they'll jack up their prices. Who knows? But yeah, we'll see. So anyway, this is the shell ejecting toy SIG P320. From Temu, if anybody else is interested. Yeah, I'll rent them, but at that price, might as well buy your own if you're interested. But what I'll probably end up doing is modding these a bit, and that's another question you have to ask yourself is, do you want to go to the time to figure out how to strip it and paint it and fill in these little screw holes and all that other stuff that'll be required to make it look like it'll hold up on a camera at all? Up to you to decide. And if you're just doing a previs, sure, why not? Fine for previs. You can do a little slow motion, watch that shell casing go out in slow-mo. Not have to worry about editing it for previs. It'll do just fine for that. All right, so last little share here, just a little before and after. Once again, these are kind of this weird sort of purplish tan, and they come orange barrel and all that. So, and also all these little holes where the screws go in. So what I've done is just filled in those holes, you know, quick rush job, not perfect, and painted it black. I didn't have a good flat dark earth right now, that kind of tan color that the you know, Middle East troops, for example, are carrying with these right now. But you know, you still got the you know, to be fair, it's got trademarks. That's something. A lot of the times replicas that you get don't. And you still get the shell ejection. So even after painting this up, that was one thing I was worried about. Would it get too gunked up to move? Nope. Still works. As much as it ever did anyway, which is to say, you know, not a whole lot of oomph. So it doesn't fly with as much vim and vigor as a blank firing gun would shoot its casings out, but it's a heck of a lot safer, because if you don't put the stupid little red plastic things in the ends of them, there is absolutely no projectile on these, which is nice. Now, if you wanted to, could you, for example, put one of those tracer flash units, Spitfire airsoft flash units in here, and have the projectile be fired in a safe direction away from anybody and trigger that? Yeah, probably. could you try and figure out a way to replace that hard bullet with like just a little piston that would shove a little powder or something out? Not so much. I don't think that's going to work as well with something like this as it does with the gas blowback airsoft, where there's actually actual air pressure pushing stuff out. It's just a little spring. So I don't think that would actually work to get the powder effect. But yeah, you could get the flash effect if you wanted the projectile. But for the most part, it's a cheap option for something that we don't have shell ejecting versions of very readily right now, which is these new SIGs. Oh, interesting. That time I put a projectile in and it didn't fire. Which again, for me, is just fine. Huh. Still loaded. See if it goes if I just push on the back of this with a stick. That seems a little jammed, a little stuck. Interesting. There we go. Now it's out. Huh. The good news is I don't really care about the reliability of it firing these little plastic things because I generally don't want to fire the little plastic things. But I assume it's about pushing on the back of it that fires it. I don't know. Maybe not. Not sure what actually releases the catch on these and makes them go forward. Yep, there we go. So it's just this one's kind of jammed up, which again, for what I'm doing, is just fine. I don't care. Anyway, so future questions, will other models work? Can we find better shell casings than these very plasticky looking things? But frankly, if you're looking at it close enough or slow enough that you can see the shell casing too closely, it's not going to hold up anyway. They're super lightweight. They're kind of cheaply made. Even with a paint job, it's more comparable to like your cheapest airsoft spring gun than a quality gas blowback. But, if you got someone who really wants a shell ejection, it's an option. So I'll do some reviews on others later. I got a few other of these just because they were so darn cheap and people have been asking questions. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll find out. Will I actually be able to rent them out? I don't know. When they're cheap enough to just buy. But then again, if you got to customize them, we'll see. But I'll take a look at some others since these have been what have been getting the most hits. And let me know what you think. Thanks.